They colorized it.
Yes. Yeah.
In the bottom right of the map, we have our orange Zerg player. Behind 2 games, need to win the next 3 in a row to actually make it. It's gonna be our orange Zerg player, Anticitizen.
Yep. And in the top right of Nimbus, taking game 2. Leaving close out the series, it is Felicity's Probe, Yellow Zerg. So, I think this map is great for mutas. Anti loves mutas. Lots of the bases are exposed to mutas. And should if he can get there, should be a pretty good strategy. I think that would do a lot of damage. It's kind of like you said, though. It is a tough spot. I mean, you have to kind of decide what you're going to do, or does your opponent hit you early again, or
I think this is kind of highlighting a thing though with Anticitizen, and is that, he almost never uses a different build or a different opener at least. The this time, however, he finally is. He's grabbing that spawning pool first. Probe is not this time. Looks like he's actually going to go hatch first. So this might have been what he was trying to cause. He might have wanted to get that tiny little macro advantage that he could obtain by going hatch first. Because in this particular situation, go pool, then into hatch, it actually turns out to be kind of the same thing, but you have like an extra drone or two.
right, right. So he does drop the hatch behind the pool. So I mean, he's not
Right.
going all into some kind of length thing, but he definitely wants that little insurance policy there.
Exactly.
So see how it pans out. Can't be too sure of the strategy yet.
So one thing that though is that because Probe actually threw out the drone scout on top of that, I think that actually negates what little economic advantage you would have gotten by going for the hatch first. It's a lot of time where you're not getting minerals. It comes out to about the same thing, I think. But, he does get here and he does see that his opponent isn't doing anything insane, which may allow him to cut some corners.
Got a drone hacking on the patrol drone here, and he did drop a gas. Probably just enough for link speed.
Very, very aggressive with the drones there, trying to kill them off.
Yeah,
Not quite able to grab that, though.
Get out of my base.
Looking back over at Probe's base, I'm not seeing anything particularly unusual. Grabbing the queen, droning up, getting overlords. Got a couple lings, but this can be easily just for scouting purposes. It doesn't necessarily imply any aggression just yet. Back home, Anticitizen has continued to Continue to mine gas, sorry. We're playing Destiny earlier,
Yes,
so that's
yes.
my excuse. But yeah, he's continued to mine gas out of this geyser, and at this point, he's already almost gotten what he needs to get speed, which will give him a little bit of flexibility on the map in the early game.
Yep, pretty close. And there it goes. Speed is on the way.
2 scoutlings for both players actually making it up here right away, and he's immediately going to start gnawing on this queen, which I thought for a second he might get away with because he was very fixated on killing the overlord.
Pretty close. He didn't lose one, though. Probe did lose one, it appears.
Trying to see where that died. Queen has 1 kill. Up here on the high ground over at the natural. 2 lings coming back home. Still so far, not any tremendous differences actually between their 2 builds in terms of where they're going right now, except that the gas is still being mined by Anticitizen, so I'm thinking we're going to see Roach or Baneling play pop up pretty soon here.
Probably be good knowing that Probe does like his tier 1. I think the Banelings would be very effective. And sniping up that Overlord.
Probe, on the other hand, showed his hand. He's going down the Baneling Nest route. You can see that Anticitizen still hasn't quite shown his, but he is grabbing speed. So he's going to have, if this does come down to a Ling versus Ling battle, he will have a tremendous advantage early on.
Definitely. Yep. getting the surrounded slow links. It's it's the most painful thing to watch, actually.
Indeed.
It makes a lot of difference at extra surface area.
And he's going from here into lair, so it looks like he wants to just use speedlings to kind of control the map while he techs up a little bit further. So I'm expecting either roaches or mutalisks at this point. And that, I think, can work very, very well for him. You'll notice that Probe's also grabbing a roach war. So the baneling nest might have been, I don't know, not even sure if he's going to use it. It might actually just have been a potential reactionary thing.
Supplemental cautionary.
Speaking of that, now we have preemptive spore crawlers. Is he building a spire? Nope, he actually isn't. Not yet. Still building up his tech. Of course, he can't yet. The lair is not finished. There it is. Let's see if he goes for it. Nope. Roach Warren and Hydroden.
And Hydroden, yes. So it's a good call, I think.
This is pretty rough for Probe, though. He's making a huge misstep by making this many spore crawlers. He's thrown away 4 drones, effectively. I mean, getting 2 of them, at least, in your mineral lines does make sense, especially it gives you some basic detection against burrow and things like that. But once you've gone to that point where you've thrown down 6 of them, it's kind of like you got harassed a little bit early game.
Kind of. He's playing the game that does not exist right now.
Right.
So that's always not good. A little bit of a waste. Anti going for a 3rd, while Probe actually drops a Hydrodon himself. Both players look like they're teching to Roach Hydra.
3rd hatchery coming out for Probes is actually a little bit behind Anticitizens, which is, of course, already finished. Starting to populate it with drones. He's grabbing 15 roaches, which are already now out on the field. Roaches from Probe coming down as well, and these guys are going to hit some pretty heavy resistance. I don't think this is going to do any damage as long as Anticitizen is positioned correctly.
Got definitely a numbers advantage here. And Queen for a little bit of support on the side.
That Queen is about the only value they could potentially get out of this. Nope. Push them away immediately.
Still gonna push the issue here. Hanging out on the edge of creep.
Hydra's coming out, actually, now for both players. Hydra speed as well as roach speed. Anticitizen checked the amount of roaches that his opponent has and discovered that he does, in fact, have a nice positional advantage there, even engaging on the creep. He's now pushing out toward his opponent. I actually think, the creep spread is really good for both players, and I'm actually, in terms of, it's being executed well, but I'm not actually sure it's doing both of them a lot of good. It's actually just going to make it possible for the other person to get to their base real quickly.
Yep, just a creep highway. Nothing more. Muscular augments dropping for anti here. Gonna have that slight speed advantage for a small time.
Can you imagine if creep was tinted based on your color?
Oh, that would look
weird.
That would look gnarly when they mix.
If you had an 8-player game going, it would look like a giant quilt. Anyway, engagement's finally begun here. A few Hydras actually on both sides engaging as well. Slightly better arc for Anticitizen, and it looks like he's starting to push him back. But he doesn't pursue too far. Just grab one Overseer that happened to be hanging out toward the front. Might grab the second one. He's going off creep to do it though. Nope. Pulls back. Probe's continuing with his roach production, as is Anticitizen, who is now also grabbing the range upgrade for Hydralisks.
Root spines.
That economy being a little bit stronger for Anticitizen is going to really work in his favor here as he moves forward. The only thing that's kind of giving him a little trouble is I don't think, he hasn't been perfectly on top of his injects. As I look at the Queens at Probe's base, though, the energy accounts on them look pretty similar, except for the one over at the 3rd base. So that kind of explains why their armies have been pretty similar looking so far.
Mm-hmm. Anti poking out of the map, kind of see what's up as the creep spreads a little further. Got a pretty substantial army now. Both have fairly equal army supply, 76-82. Not too big of a difference, but
looks like range is actually going to finish just for this fight. I think the Hydralisks. The Hydralisks on Probe side did not have that upgrade, so this could end up being rather pivotal. Here comes the attack.
Little
Better
misstep.
concave up here for a probe, though. He's moving up to engage, but he's spread out pretty nicely, so it looks like he's going to have all of his units engaging, nothing running back and forth. So far, though, it looks a little bit like I think Probe has a slight edge in this fight. Maybe? No, his roaches are falling down. So close. Defender's advantage for Anticitizen really needs to kick into gear, but he just doesn't have enough. He needs to pull all these Hydralisks back and regroup. He may have just enough time to do this. This might actually be a good time to take all of these workers off of this base, transfer them to the location down here that's building, but Probe has been just slightly too slow on this, and here comes the next wave of defenses. This time slightly better concave for Anticitizen, though, and he's able to push Probe back.
Yeah, very good. Hydras in a ball make a huge difference. Took out a bunch of those roaches right off the bat. Damaged ones up front. A very good hold. He's on his way to his 4th base. Probe gonna come down and...
See, no? Still doesn't suspect the presence of that base, which could end up being key in all this. Whoa, Anticitizen's not watching all of his units. A few of them actually getting to the front of the army. Ooh, does kill a queen. Going to be hanging out here. He's deliberately ignoring the creep dormers. I mean, why? It helps both of them at this point.
Yeah.
Though, one could actually say that the creep spread being there, whoa, he's going to get sandwiched in the middle of the map, but here comes some more Hydras engaging from the right side. Actually, it depends on who's ever able to clear up their flank first, but wow, the surround is unreal for Probe, as he's actually just able to eat up all of the roaches sitting in the center, but now the army has become essentially a Hydralisk army for Anticitizen, which is doing an okay job cutting down the numbers that are coming out here. And we have 17 more roaches actually just about the top, while Probe forces have been cut down to a relatively small number of units. And this is again where that defender's advantage just starts to become severe. You just keep pushing out units at the same rate, but one guy just keeps getting his a little bit faster, and he just allows him to survive. Unfortunately, he's engaging piecemeal into Probe's army, so he's not able to build up much.
Yep, not grouping up those roaches. Pivotal in this battle. Still picking off roaches as they come in one by one. Not gonna have enough power to push this back. Probe takes the game in the series.
Okay.